So last month, I actually made. About 1 year ago, I was sitting at my laptop late at night, and I remember checking my bank account after several failed businesses, and this made me start doing research on business models. I came across a video on YouTube that talked about virtual sales, and I remember thinking, this could either be fake or it could change everything. And today, I know the answer. But what no one tells you is what actually happens after you get started. Because the path from when I decided to get started until now is much different than I ever expected. So in today's video, I'm gonna be breaking down the real numbers, what it's like, and the one decision that changed everything for me. And if you're watching because you wanna know if this is just another idea that sounds good on YouTube but doesn't actually work, or if it's a legitimate way to make money, that's what we're gonna be breaking down in today's video. Does virtual sales I started 1 year ago actually make money? But before I break down the numbers, you guys need to understand what it actually looks like behind the scenes. First off, I want to address a common misconception. Every time I hear virtual sales on YouTube, people make it seem like it's some easy or get rich quick scheme, and it's not like that at all. I'm talking about the first 90 days. I was working 8 to 10 hours a day. I was getting objections that I didn't know how to handle. I was learning how to use the different systems and softwares, and I was basically wondering if this was all a huge mistake. And I went through all of that just to make a few $1,000s, which I know for some people isn't horrible, but in the virtual sales world, that seems like chump change compared to what everyone tells you online. But now that I've been doing it for about a year, I actually have a full understanding of whether this is actually legitimate and you can actually make money. So I'm gonna show you guys exactly what a day in the life looks like in virtual sales. My workday starts whenever I arrive at my office. Typically, I get here around 8:30, not 5 a.m. like some of those productivity gurus tell you. The first thing I do is whenever I go to my desk, I check my emails, I check my pipeline, and then around 9 o'clock is whenever I start making calls. And just so you guys can know what these calls actually look like, for the next hour, I'm gonna be sitting at my desk making real phone calls, and I'm gonna record any conversations that I have, and we'll see if I can make some money.
Hello, you've reached 937-543.
Hey, Betty.
Who is this?
Hey, Betty, it's Jonathan. I just had a quick second to get out to you right now just because I do have your file on my desk here, and it just looks like you had requested a little bit of information where you had listed your beneficiary here as Pamela Al-Busiari.
Missouri.
Al-Bazuri. Okay, yeah, I butchered that one. Sorry about that. And then you also put your date of birth here as October 6th. Is that also correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, that's exactly why I was getting out to you here, Miss Betty. In terms of the actual coverage, just so I'm not guessing and I can, obviously get you the proper options pulled up, what was the biggest thing? Is it just covering basic final expenses or just leaving as much money behind for Pamela as possible?
A little of both.
A little bit of both. Okay, gotcha. In terms of that, do you have anything in place for those final expenses right now, like a other life insurance policy, savings account set aside, or anything at all, or no?
I got another life insurance. I've had it for many years.
How much coverage do you currently have?
14 or 15.
So I'm assuming
Oh, mine.
you just want to make sure that, if there is anything above that you add a little bit more coverage just to make sure that Pamela there isn't having to come out of pocket for the rest.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. So that's really going to be the biggest things. Of course, those benefits are great and all, but like I said, typically what it does come down to, seeing if we can actually get you approved, but I can pull up some numbers for you here. Do you still have that piece of paper?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first number that you can write down there is going to be 5,000. Under that, you can write down 7,500. And then just to the right of that 5,000, you can write down 55 And we can always look at some other options as well if you'd like. But out of these, which one do you think would make the most sense to submit for to see if we can get you approved?
Start out with 5,000.
Okay, let me get the application pulled up here. So just to confirm your date of birth, and for that they do need your social, of course, so just go ahead with that when you're ready.
Okay. 49.
Are you banking locally with like a credit union, or is that a bigger institution like Chase or Wells Fargo?
No, it's what's that, community?
Community Trust? Okay, what was the number?
Yeah. 920.
Boom! So literally the first person that picked up, I just closed. It took me about 20 minutes. It was a $55 a month policy. So I'm going to get paid out about $500 commission from this policy. And that's exactly what a live call looks like for you guys. Like I said, typically I'll dial for a few hours. Once I get started in the morning, I'll go for lunch. I'll dial a few more hours. And that's pretty much my entire day whenever it comes to actually making calls. But there's one thing that shocked me the most whenever I first got started with virtual sales, and it's the fact that being the smoothest talker or having the best or magical script isn't what closes deals. It's about understanding one simple psychological truth. People don't buy products, they buy solutions to problems that they know they have. So it's your job as the salesperson to make the person understand that they need the product. And it makes it much easier whenever you're actually selling a product that people need, like the one I sell now. I do financial service sales, so it makes it a lot easier. Kind of like that call you guys just saw. This lady knew she needed the product. I made her aware of it, and it was a pretty simple deal. All right, let's talk numbers. Real numbers, not the BS that you see on most YouTube videos. I'm going to break down exactly how much money I've made during the 12 months that I've done virtual sales. All right, let's break down the actual numbers so that you guys know what it looks like your first 12 months. So first month, I made about $8,000 in sales. Now the type of sales that I'm in, that doesn't mean straight profit. At the end of the month, this is how much I was deposited and left with in my bank, $4,271. Now my first month, I was working about 7 hours per day. So 6 days a week, I was working about 40 hours a week. This means 160 hours per month. So if you do the math, this divided by 160 is about $28 per hour. People make it seem like you can make hundreds of dollars per hour when you're first starting out, which yes, it's possible, but realistically, that's not gonna happen for most people. So this was the breakdown of my first month. Now my second month was about the same. Now month 3, this is where things got serious. This was last April. My sales were about $22,000, and this is how much I ended off in my account. $18,000 deposited. So almost my first $20,000 month on my third month. Now what happened in month 3? Did I become some sort of sales genius? No. I realized the power of compounding interest, especially in sales, because it's a skill set. You need to understand that the first period of time, you're going to be mainly focused on learning. Now, obviously, you should be making money during this time frame, but it takes time to be able to learn how to handle objections, how to handle different types of clients, how to handle their different situations. And by month 3, if you're consistent, you can actually start producing better results. Now, what does it actually look like a year into doing sales? I'm consistently profiting $20,000 to $25,000 per month. And yes, I could be making a lot more, but the type of sales that I'm in, there's also a business building opportunity. So I'm also scaling up my team. That's why you guys see me in this office in Houston. So nowadays, I'm making more money than I was, but I'm also spending less time on the phones and more time building my actual business. And now that you guys know the real numbers, I want to be completely transparent. Like any other business model, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Of course, there is some downside. Since I'm in sales, yes, chargebacks can happen. Whenever I first started out, I got a little bit more chargebacks, but nowadays I see about 10 to 15% of my total sales chargeback. So you can do the math on that, but that's what the numbers look like. So if you wanted to know whether virtual sales is just another idea on YouTube that sounds good but doesn't actually work, or if it's a legitimate opportunity, now you know the answer to if virtual sales actually makes money.